What's up, everybody? This is Rob Barrington from LearnBridge.nyc. This is part two of a great video with Joel Wooldridge, one of the finest bridge players and bridge minds of the world. He was nice enough to sit down with me and talk about his thought process on 12 boards that we played against each other. So if you haven't seen part one yet, that would be right above this video on my website, learnbridge.nyc, or in YouTube, it'll just be part of the same playlist. It's just a video right before this one. So take a look at part one and take a look at part two and enjoy, folks. Take care. All right, we had the same auction on board 9. We opened one heart. West bid one spade, and our partner passed. Would you bid with this hand? Would you bid with the north hand, 3 hearts?
Absolutely, I would be bidding.
Would you bid 4 hearts or 3 hearts?
No, I think 3 is enough. We have lengthened spades. There's no guarantee that they're going to outbid us in the spade suit because they might not have a fit. And so I would bid 3 hearts. You know, tell partner I've got a 4-card fit and a weak hand, and it's about the level I would compete to anyhow. So
sure. Yeah, it's interesting. The robot usually is relatively aggressive with these bids, and I'm not sure why they chose not to bid here. It could be because of their spades. I don't know, but they really don't have any defense. They have all offense for hearts.
I mean, I guess they have some defense in the form of a stiff diamond against spades, but it's not the kind of hand where if the opponents have a spade fit, you're going to feel good about concealing your heart fit.
Right.
Since, you know, partner's short in spades, and maybe you could have done just as well on offense.
Well, especially if it goes like something 1 spade past 4 spades. Right now partner with a hand that would have bid if you bid 3 hearts is just in the dark.
Yeah, if partner has no spades in their hand and extra length in hearts, you could have done possibly really well in hearts, despite your 2 count, and sure. You haven't told partner what your hand is like, so I feel like a 3-heart bid directly is a really important call.
Yeah. I was shocked that they didn't do that either, but I was very happy when dummy came down too. So they kind of delayed gratification here.
I had the reverse reaction.
You were pissed.
I was like, "Wow, partner, why do you have such a good fit? I might make a game."
Right. And we had the same auction at both tables here. They just raised the 2 spades. And we both bid 3 diamonds. We have extra values. The shape is really good here. Would you have done anything differently in another situation?
Well, if partner had raised my hearts directly, I would have bid to 4 hearts and just chanced it.
Right.
But if partner were quiet, I'm always competing over 2 spades. I'm not going to let them play that.
For sure. And the colors, would you do it red-white also?
Yeah, because I think the likelihood of us having a plus score outweighs the concern of being vulnerable.
Cool. And we played 3 hearts at both tables. Both made too many.
Yep.
And honestly, that comes down for both of us. I'm pretty sure, I mean, at least from my perspective, if my partner had bid 3 hearts, I was planning on bidding 4.
Yeah.
And I know you were too, so really, I think the robot takes the blame for this one.
Yeah, I'm going to give this one 95% robot.
Because when they bid 3 hearts, I mean, you don't even know what partner's tabling, right? Your partner could be tabling like what they have without 4 hearts.
Yeah,
right?
you
like
take
a 6-card club suit, and
you take 2 of those hearts and make them clubs,
and it's a disaster zone.
You don't want to play 4 hearts. Yeah. I mean, maybe you can make it, but you're going to need a miracle.
Yeah, exactly. Once again, we duplicated our auctions. East on board 10 opened 1 club, and this is a really good takeout double. If you had a club honor, would you have been a no trump with this hand? Like king and 1 of clubs?
Maybe. I don't really like making a no trump overcall with honor and 1 of the suit they open. Because usually partner playing it in one of the other 3 suits is going to do just fine. And, I can raise that to show extra values, whatever they pick. And so the problem with bidding a no trump is that I'm committing to the no trump strain a partner can't remove. And, with just honor and 1, they might be able to take a bunch of tricks after they knock out my honor. So.
Right. And in that case, even if we do have honor and 1, we have like 4 quick tricks, and then we might be in a lot of trouble.
Yeah, whereas in a suit contract, they give you that honor, but then now you're threatening roughs, and possible slow winners can come to fruition.
Sure. Yeah, and partner bids a no trump. I thought the robot looked a little light for this, but honestly, I see that they have no other choice. But what would you expect partner to have when they bid a no trump opposite your double? Is it still 6 to 10?
or should it be more towards 8th?
I kind of feel like the high card point requirement is more like about 7,
Okay.
honestly. But some hands with less than 7 points that are just really stuck for a bid and just have to survive the deal would still bid a no trump. Maybe if you had something like King Jack 10 fourth of clubs and another queen and no suit to bid, like you might have to do.
You kind of end played into bidding a no trump.
Yeah, you might have to do what you have to do. It's either that or pass a club doubled, which seems pretty risky.
Right. Unless you had like ace 10 9 fifth or something, and that's a little bit maybe juicier to pass. Or
Well, sure, if you got 5 of them.
yeah. But we played 3 no trump on this hand because after the 1 no trump bid, if we do put partner on a hand that's, whatever, 7 to 10 or something like that, I mean, we're at a maximum for sure. And we know partner doesn't have any fits and a club stopper, so we both bid 3 no trump.
Yeah, it's not necessarily that it's like a great scientific call, the 3-0 call. It's that, we're playing imps, and so the bonus for making a game kind of outweighs the concern of,
Well, we
going
both thought the
slowly.
same way. I just didn't want the robot to pass something that, if we're making a game, I certainly didn't want the robot to not bid a game. And that's what I was thinking. I'm just saying, look, I'm playing against Joel. We're vulnerable. I better bid this game.
Yeah, I mean, 2-0 is probably the technical call, but I'm just bidding 3 because, well, maybe it'll make.
Yeah, and we did. We made 9 tricks on this hand, and it was relatively straightforward. They let a diamond, and in fact, I don't know why I'm looking at my hand. Hang on, let's back up. Let's look at how you played it. I know how I played it. I just want to see what your decisions were. We got the same lead. They let a diamond, and we won in our hand, and both of us let a heart to the king. Why a heart and not a spade? I let a heart also because it seemed right, but I wasn't like 100% that this was good for me.
Well, the reason why I didn't attack spades is because even if, I can set up 3 spade tricks, say, I only have 8 winners if they knock out my club right away.
Gotcha.
So I'm trying to get this heart trick before I decide to maybe switch tacts. And, if they fly ace of hearts, well, I'm forcing them to knock out the club or else I'm going to go right over to the spade suit.
Gotcha. So you're trying to sneak in your 9th trick now if they duck, and then if it went heart low king hold, you would have just fired a spade back.
I at least have the option to. But if
Right.
I go after spades right away, I'm also revealing something about my hand, right? And so concealing the nature of my spade suit might do me some help,
Interesting.
as far as their decision about whether or not to continue clubs.
Right, and maybe in some odd spots they might just switch to a spade, thinking, okay, maybe this is a source of tricks for us.
Sure. I mean, the less information you give the defense, usually the better you're off you are.
Yeah, and especially they can see a pretty juicy piece of information in the diamond suit already.
Yeah, I was a little concerned about giving them the jack of diamonds.
Yeah, and now they switch to a club. We duck, and the reason we're ducking is we know we have to lose a spade trick, right? So if it's highly unlikely that West is going to win a trick on this hand, but if they're winning, we at least get the ability to kind of shorten their clubs. But also, they did the same thing at my table. They took 1 club trick and then they switched to hearts.
Yeah, probably not their best defense.
I think they were maybe thinking like a real bridge player would, that maybe declare ducked with ace jack 4th of clubs, and they didn't want to break the suit. Partner, in a realistic situation, would partner have played the 10 of clubs here?
Yeah, I mean, the robots obviously are not very sophisticated with their signals at this point because the jack is a pretty clear play with jack 10-8 with the 9 coming down on the next round. Just tell partner that you have the 10, you don't have the queen, and if you get the lead back, you can lead the 10 and squash the 9 anyhow, so you're not really giving up anything.
Sure, and you're making it more clear for partner what the right defense might be in this situation.
Yeah, and it'll be easy for partner to lead over to your jack next. And so maybe, I don't know, maybe Robot East did the right thing? Question mark?
By leading the heart?
Yeah, but I'm not really convinced.
Yeah, I wasn't either. I thought, I was worried that they were just going to continue clubs. That was my whole thing. And that, honestly, when you're playing tournaments against the robots, any of you guys out there that are going to do this, ducking is usually really good if you can afford to do it, because a lot of times the robots will just randomly switch, which is weird, but hey, why not give them a chance to go wrong for them and right for you?
So, interesting thing. This reminds me a lot of how I approach club game bridge, actually.
Can't wait to hear this.
So club game bridge is a lot different than regional and national bridge against known highly qualified opponents, and that
Not to say that you club players are not highly qualified. You're just not near the qualification level at the semifinals of the Vanderbilt, basically.
yeah, I kind of like that. And so it's like I know that you make some mistakes, you have some tendencies in certain areas, and so it's kind of like incumbent upon me, in order to maximize my score, to put as much pressure and take advantage of said mistakes as often as I can.
Yes.
And so this is kind of a situation where if you know that the robots have a weakness in certain areas, you have to take advantage of it, or else you're not really maximizing your potential.
And you're not doing the same thing that other pros are doing at different tables with the same hand. They're all thinking the same way. Like, let's put this person on lead and see if they're going to get it right or wrong, and maybe I benefit, maybe I don't.
Yeah, it's kind of like that. And so, a special part of club game bridge is that when you understand the range of your opponent's, possible plays, to give them a problem as often as you can, without risking too much, is only going to be in your best interest.
Well, I know you've done that to me before, especially, at least several times. You've personally done that to me, and now I know. So I'm going to be leery of this. Yeah. And I'm just not going to play against you anymore. That's really the best thing. Abstinence is key.
Well, your situation is also a little different because you're often playing with a player who's not going to help you as much as the next. And so
right.
I'm kind of taking advantage of the situation in that your partner's plays aren't going to be able to inform you of what to do. And so I'm using that against you instead.
And this is to kind of go off the way a little bit, but it's something I just thought of. It's a conversation that we used to have in the house where we all used to live together. When the pro at the table, when you're playing against a pro client pair, when the pro at the table is going to be playing the contract and it's relatively low level, and you're thinking of balancing, you should usually balance. Because you have to think about it this way, playing against a pro, if they have opened a no trump, let's say, and you have a hand that you might bid and you might not, a lot of times you're kind of locked into a bad score already. If you let Joel or Joe Grew or Johnny Hurd play one no trump, they're going to get a good score way more often than not. But however, if maybe the weaker player, and not to say that they're weak players, but they're certainly weaker than you guys are, if they're playing the contract, maybe you don't balance with hands like that. And it's not necessarily just that situation, but it's to your benefit to not have the pro playing the contract if you can avoid it, if you have a close decision. Is that right?
It's definitely food for thought. And I would say the idea of not balancing against the weaker player in the partnership makes really good sense. And balancing against the better player is that's not as clear. And so
they still have that red X card, and they know how to use it, right?
Yeah, I might want to look at my hand and look at the vulnerability before I make that decision.
Yeah, sure. I'm saying like in a close spot where you might balance in some spots and you might not, but it's close. I'm way more likely to take a call if the pro, especially one of you guys, is going to be the declarer, because I'm end played into a bad score pretty much, not always but frequently.
I think it's very good gamesmanship.
All right, good. That's excellent. But back to this hand. Sorry for the sidebar, but that was a good conversation to have. Here, when they return a heart, now we're safe to break the spade suit, and I'm curious how you played spades, because I did not. I played a low spade to the queen. And I'm not sure what you did here. You took your winners. Why'd you cash the queen of hearts?
So the reason that I cashed that was because on the run of the diamonds, he's disposed of a heart. And so I was thinking if the hearts are now 1-1, I might as well strip him of his heart card.
So he can't exit hearts.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, good.
But, it's more so that West can't exit hearts if I lose a spade finesse and they happen to be spade tight.
Ah, gotcha. And now we played the 10, and the 10 to the queen because we had already seen the 9 drop.
Yes.
So they're essentially the 8 and the 10 are the same. And they let you hold, and now you let a low spade, and bingo. You made your 9 tricks. And that's why you're you. All right, board 11, second to last, penultimate board, and at this point, the match is essentially over. Right? You got all of your imps in boards 1 through 7, and you left me with nothing to do in these last 4 boards. But let's see how we went about it. Again, very happy that we essentially had a pretty even match, except for my disaster in 3-0, and also I bid too much on this board, and I got very lucky that you thought a little bit more and misdefended, and I didn't think at all and defended after the fact the correct
accurately.
Way. Right. So let's see what we did on these last 2 boards. Here we started with 1 no trump, pretty standard, obviously 15 balanced. Our partner transferred and just passed, and East balanced with 3 clubs. We both bid 3 hearts, and I was just thinking of the law of total tricks. I have 9 trumps. I probably think, or at least I thought, my partner was a favorite to be short in clubs. Am I off base here?
I had no idea what partner's club length was likely to be. Probably short, but
West could be short also, I guess.
No guarantee.
Yeah.
I'm just bidding. I have ace 10 4th of hearts.
Yeah. You have a 9-card trump fit and your hearts are good, so why not give it a shot? And we both ended up making 4, another excellent, underbid for both of us.
I had a little bit of a regret on this hand because I was almost good enough to jump to 3 hearts directly, except it's 15 with a jack third, and I don't really want to push the envelope with that kind of hand.
Right. And I'm wondering, if you super accepted here and just put a normal person in the north chair, not a robot, what would you do with the north hand if it went 1 no trump, 2 diamonds, 3 hearts?
I would bid game.
You're right, because you have a stiff club and whatever, partner just super accepted with a max, right?
Yeah, I mean, at match points, maybe I would stop at a part score because I'm not sure what partner's club holding is, and it could fit poorly opposite mine. But playing imps, it's a little different story because the bonus has a bigger effect on the scoring.
Sure.
That extra 300 points makes a big difference in the what you need in order to bid a worthwhile game. And so, below 50% games that are not too far below are actually worthwhile bidding.
Right, because the downside is you're minus 50 or 100, and if they're stopping at the other table, the imp, difference isn't that terrific as far as that's concerned.
Yeah, you might be losing maybe 5 imps, say, right, for going down 1 when you could have had 140.
Right.
Right, and so that's the problem, right? And so you're risking your 5, but you're gaining an occasional 7.
Yeah.
Right, and so...
And this is a funny... I always think about poker in these spots. When you're making these decisions, especially in imps, it's a long-term proposition, right? You're making these... If you make the same decision for the same reasons over and over again, in the long run of bridge, which is, the rest of your career, you rate to be ahead with this decision. Is that in the ballpark? Is that right?
I mean, if you judge it accurately, yes. But that's why judgment is so important.
Good point. If you judge it accurately, and that's the problem with us mere mortals. We don't see a lot of these situations, or as many of them as you guys have, and also we might not be as equipped to make the right decision as often as you guys do.
Yeah. Experience.
Experience is king. Okay, go.
So one thing that I was actually a little regretful about on this hand was I wasn't sure of the system, like as far as North's options over a no trump.
Right.
Playing garbage Stamen with a lot of my regular partners, I know that the North hand would be a 2 club bid instead of a transfer. Thinking that if you catch a major suit fit, if it's spades, okay, you hang at the 2 level, but it could be an improvement over hearts. And if it's hearts, you might even have a game try.
Sure.
But if they bid 2 diamonds, you can bid 2 hearts and to say, partner, let's just play a part score. You pick it spades or hearts. And, not a big deal. If partner corrects the 2 spades, it's probably a 4-3 fit instead of a 5-2 fit. It's not like the hearts were so great anyhow.
Sure. What would you expect partner's hand shape-wise? Would it just be minimum 4-4 in the majors for that?
Yeah, 4-4 is possible.
Okay.
5-4, makes it a little easier as
Right.
long as the 5-card suit is not super strong.
Gotcha.
But yeah, on this hand, if you bid 2 clubs and partner bids 2 hearts, you can kind of start to see it, right? With the North hand, you're like, okay, I'll give it 3 hearts just in case partner wants to go.
Sure. And that would have been a win on this board for sure. The hands fit up really nicely together.
Yeah, whether or not South will bid game or not is not as clear over the 3-heart bid. You do
Right.
mesh particularly well.
Jack third of clubs just looks terrible. But on the way the auction went, the 3-club bid is at least a little helpful, right?
Absolutely. The 3-club bid might have nudged North into taking the extra push over 3 hearts, but still there's like the worry the partner doesn't have a 4th heart, and maybe it's an overbid.
Right. Maybe partner's just going a little rogue here with like ace, queen, third of hearts or something like that.
Could be.
Last board, we played 3 no trump. It was, again, a very straightforward auction. It went 2 no trump, 3 no trump. The South hand has 20 points. I had no illusions of making this contract when the dummy came down. But we talked about this afterwards. You thought you had a shot.
I really feel like at the point that I was in later in the hand, if I had gotten my guess correctly, they would have let me make it.
Let's get to that spot. They let a spade, and you ducked. Why do we duck? Why do we duck now and not later?
And so one thing I'm thinking about is what has West led this 8 of spades from? And so I see the 7 on the dummy. I don't think they've led their top spade from 4. And so I kind of feel like West probably has 3 or 2 spades, and East probably has the queen, jack, and 10, and with an extra 1 or 2 smaller spades. And so I think if I want to stop the spade suit, I'm going to have to duck one of these rounds anyhow.
Why not do it now?
And if the spades are 5-2, I think it needs to come right now.
Oh, interesting. And it's a really interesting spot for the lead, too. This is almost always when the opponent is supposed to lead a major. Anytime the auction is no trump, 3 no trump, 2 no trump, 3 no trump, a major is usually right. So this is certainly a spot that could be leading from a relatively short suit, just top of nothing, to try to hit their partner.
Yeah, and in addition, West might have led hearts if they were, say, short in spades and hearts, holding both the ace and king of hearts. I don't think that, just because they're robots, they're double dummy. So, yeah. I mean, I think they're still using, their robot brains a little bit.
Yeah, maybe Fred Gittleman and Uday can let us know, the inner workings of the robot mind. But we might get too much of an edge playing in the robot tournaments.
Yeah.
So which spot did we get to? They returned a club, which is a little scary, I guess, right away.
Yeah, definitely their best play. And so, when I'm in this spot, I'm thinking if they clear clubs, I'm not making this hand with the king of diamonds offside. So I have to hope they don't.
And you cross to the spade just to take your diamond finesse?
Yeah, I can't give up on my 50-50.
And it's cool. We played the same diamond here. We played the 8 of diamonds. And I was proud that I saw you do the same thing. And you could do it either way. You could play the 10 and then play the 9. But when you're playing the 8 of diamonds, you're doing 2 things. You're guaranteeing that if the finesse wins, you stay in dummy. And you're also conserving the 10 of diamonds as an entry, right?
Yeah. So if diamonds are 4-0, right, you get to retain the 8 and then lead the 10 and retain the 10 as well. And so, yes, you could lead the 10 and unblock the 9 from your hand, but that's really just a privilege because of the 9-card fit, right? There's some 8-card situations with similar holdings where leading the lower honor is important. And so I'm just sticking to the general rule here.
And unfortunately, the finesse loses, and they failed to clear clubs at this point, which was a win for you.
Yeah, and so as soon as they didn't clear clubs, I'm thinking to myself, I can make this hand, right? West doesn't know to lead clubs for whatever reason. And so if I can just lose this heart honor to the hand on my left instead of the hand on my right and then find the 10 of hearts, I bet they aren't going to clear clubs and I can make this. That's my thought, at least.
And it's funny, you can see kind of what a human player might be thinking by not playing a club. They think if you have king and 1 left in your hand, they just might be giving you the jack of clubs at this point.
Yep. And, East returned the 6 of clubs, which was probably the biggest mystery card they could have returned from king 6-5. It's neither count nor attitude. It's like right in the middle.
Sure. That's their robot brain. So we played a heart to the 9, which unfortunately was wrong for you.
Yeah.
So if you had it to do over again at this point, what would you do?
Well, I mean, I still thought the 9 was the right play when I made it.
Okay.
And so here's one thing that I noticed. And so I was kind of watching the robots from earlier hands, and this is actually something you can do in a long imp match, is you should definitely watch your opponent's carding to gain an inference late in the match.
Interesting.
And so I had seen them on several hands, high-low, all right, and always using the highest card to high-low to signal their partner that they had an honor in the suit. Right, they had done it twice before now. They had pitched the 9 of spades with ace jack 9 and a little one.
Yep.
They had pitched like a high card on another hand with an honor. And it was always the highest spot card they could afford. So when they pitched the 5 of hearts, I was actually thinking that if they had the 10, they would not pitch the 10 because it could be an important card.
Yep.
All right. And so the 5 kind of, in my mind, denied the 7.
That is ridiculous, but it makes so much sense when you say it.
I was thinking, I've seen them pitch the highest card they could afford. I don't think they have the 7.
And that's funny. When you're playing in like a 28 board knockout or like a 2-day team match, you're kind of working with the information you're given throughout that match. So at the end, you might have maybe a better idea of what the carding means than at the beginning.
Yeah.
Right. I hope no one that plays against you hears this because they might just be, plotting your demise by carding differently in their first 10 boards.
There's probably not too many robots out there listening to this. And so
I'm sending this right to the bridge-based robots.
And so I didn't think they had the 7. And then when they followed with the 4 in the first round of hearts, I didn't see the potential of covering an honor with an honor holding 4-2, honestly.
Okay. Yeah.
I thought they would just play the 2.
Right.
And so I'm thinking, okay, West has the 7 and the 2, and I think East pitched the first heart, and so they have longer hearts. And so it's like honor 7-2 on my left, and I should play the 9. I mean, that was my thought.
That makes a lot of sense. But as the robot has figured out, it totally deceived you because they did have that 2 of hearts left.
Yeah, they just gave me the random cover. And maybe it's because it was the 3. I really don't know what their thought process was for playing the 4 instead of the 2, but it did fool me.
Yeah, I would not have caught that in either way, but it's very interesting. Just the idea of the way that they card is pretty consistent, and I think it is relatively consistent with the robots. It may be weird sometimes, but it's usually pretty consistent. But here they chose to just cover your 3 with the 4 because they're just blindly following the cover the honor with the honor principle, even though it's the 3.
Yeah, and after this piece of information, I'll be ready next time when I'm missing the 4 and the 2. That if it goes 3-4, that they're actually more likely to hold the 2 than not.
Yes, exactly. Well, now that we have that covered, I hope to see you next time. I think we'll do this more often. Maybe we'll have different talent here sometimes. Maybe our friend Joe Grew and unlikely Johnny Hurd will get up for this, but maybe at some point we can treat people to the Johnny Hurd show.
And thank you for having me. It's a pleasure.
And good luck with the rest of your year, bridge-wise. You guys are my favorite bridge players of all time, especially. I can't say you're my favorite, but after this gets over, I will tell you you're my favorite for sure. I just can't say it publicly.
All right. Sounds good.
All right, Joel, thank you so much for joining us. Folks, if you have any interest in doing this yourself, you can go right on to BridgeBase, and I'm going to show you on my screen right here. I'm logged in. If you look at challenges, you go right here. You can create challenges for your friends. You can create challenges for random strangers. And you're essentially playing 8 to 16 boards, however many you want to play, against one person who's playing with the same robots that you are, and vice versa. This is not real bridge. I don't want anyone to think that this is real bridge. The big constraints to these sorts of things are you always will have the best hand at the table. Which means you can do some weird things, maybe in certain situations, because no one has a better hand than you do. So this is not real bridge, but it certainly shows how you are going to perform when you have at least most of the points in your hand, which is going to happen with some regularity at the bridge table anyway. So it's real, but it's not real, I guess.
I guess if you're always south in the newspaper column, you're going to pick up a pretty good hand.
That's true.
Thank you all so much for watching. It was a absolute pleasure to have Joel here telling us his thought process. Really, that is one of the greatest ways to improve, is to just get a glimpse into what one of the really fine players is thinking about at the bridge table. There are so many situations to talk about, but just getting some idea of how they think about these situations is really helpful. And try to work this into your own game, right? Start thinking a little more deeply about the hands, and you'll be surprised at what you come up with. I know I was in a lot of situations with what Joel was saying. So thank you so much for watching again, and I hope to see you next time. Until then, this is Rob Barrington for Joel Wooldridge signing off, and we'll see you next time for some great content. Thanks.